Welcome to the beginning of another Sangha. Just gonna start with the Gayatri mantra. Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat. Om. Allow me to set the intention for this live stream today. It would be my honor to have a community of those who wish to seek refuge in each other's experiences, uplift one another, and share positivity. It's the most I could ask for. I would love for us to see past our differences that we may be divided with on the surface, but it alludes to a deeper unity at heart. Because we are so diverse, yet all part of the same world, same universe, same consciousness, that means our very source must be unified in its infinite possibility. Ragnhildr, you like beans? Jessica, you like beans too? Tamara, you like beans? We got a lot of bean lovers, eh? Oh, I'm happy to hear that. And you are all human beings. And much like a bean, if you are planted in the right soil, under the right conditions, with the right water, sunlight, nutrients, you will sprout. Be like a beautiful flower. Hello, dear Yosand. You are going to bed, but listen as you fall asleep. Well, I hope you have a beautiful sleep, and you paint me in such beautiful light. Alas, I am certainly a fellow student, as we all are on this spiritual path together. Now, I hope those who are joining now are feeling as well as they can in this moment. Even whatever they're going through, I trust that you're allowed to feel this way. I'm sorry to hear that you aren't getting notified, faithful being. I have a question of the day. But I always put a post on my stories, now on TikTok and Instagram, just before I go live. Today I'm wondering from you all, what is a thought you think has never been thought before? By anyone besides yourself. We'll just find out exactly how unique our minds are. And hello, loving guidance. Tamara, you share that you're under a storm right now and the lights might go out soon. Oh, well, I'm happy that I get to see you at all then. If you need to conserve battery power or anything, please do that. Prepare for whatever is needed for yourself to have a fun night. Maybe under candlelight or in battery-powered light. I think it's always a good opportunity to connect with the way things were before electricity ruled our lives. Faithful being, you share your social security number. Easy. Well, you got me there, I guess. Yeah, I suppose I could think about random numbers, and one day I would come across the same string of numbers eventually. Thank you, dear Vanessa, for saying hello, and for your heart me. Hare Krishna. And thank you. So kind of you for blessing us. Tomorrow, you're currently at 6%. Well, go charge your phone while you still have power. The letter F, you like beans? Oh, I'm happy to hear that. This is a tough one, Strawberry Star Bunny. Talon, you share that nothing has never been thought before. Strawberry, you like that answer too. Alright. You're right. To think is to think of something. To think of nothing, you'd have to be without thought. That's a great answer, I must admit. Love and guidance, you ask a good question. Shiva and Krishna, who created yoga? Well, they are both called Yogeshvara, which means the Lord of Yoga And because Shiva represents the same divinity in Shaivism as Krishna represents in Vaishnavism, they are one. Just depends on your Ishtadeva, the personal form of the divine that you connect with. But good question. Ragnhildr, you share that you think there needs to be an A in the question. Let's see. Tell me thought. Yes, that's right. We need an article. And not just any article, but an indefinite article. Thank you. There. That should be better. And oh my goodness, thank you, Pidge, for blessing us with a whole galaxy. That's wonderful. I never expected, but I am reminded of the vastness of space and the multitude of stars that exist within this galaxy, and the same magnitude of multitude that exists in the whole universe when it comes to how many galaxies there are as well. So thank you for showing some cosmic appreciation. Jai Sitaram. Now, faithful being, you share, thinking about it more deeply, you feel like every complex thought already exists. That's a beautiful answer, too. Starlight Wow, you share, your cats forgot to charge your phone last night. Now, that sounds like a thought. I don't think anyone else has thought before. Andy, you share, you think it was actually Mary Magdalene who was crucified. That's very interesting. You know, as an answer to the question of the day, I think that's probably true. But there is some profound symbolism now that you bring it up. And thank you, dear spiritual vibes, for your heart meat. And tiny. Yippee! Faithful being, you also share that you feel like all thoughts are unique because no one has our perspective. I love that too. For it's not just the words that make up a thought. We don't just think in words alone, but other forms. Meaning. No one has the same meaning in the same thought. Maybe not the same image that comes to mind associated with the same feelings, or people and places and things. And thank you, dear Pidge, for sending a subscription to Spiritual Vibes. You were very generous. Thank you for your generosity and for providing Spiritual Vibes with a fun sticker pack that I hope to see. And I look forward to connecting with. Sapphire, you share that you think you need to think more of your thoughts than you think. Oh, this is becoming a tongue twister so quickly. Nick Monroe, you share that we are all one, but separately thinking about each other. I love that. That's beautiful. Psych Dharma, you gotta post that Shiva edit tomorrow. I feel like someone has thought this before. But I look forward to seeing it. That's an interesting thought, Man of Steel. What do worms and bees and ants have in common DNA? Something, you know? A good thought. Hello, I like potatoes. La konen jardza. You ask, if I push hard enough on the seat, can I feel the suffering of the seat? That's a very interesting thought too. And hello, Jacqueline. Thank you for your good night wishes. Lola, your answer to the question of the day is, you wonder if the cats on my bandana are warm and cozy. I love that. I think they are. I've made sure that they all have bandanas. Not just one, but two. And Butch, you share that you do not think that there is anything that has not been thought. I like your humility. Right, Elle, you're wondering if I think that I am enlightened. Oh, if I think I'm enlightened, then I'm certainly not enlightened. The mind can think what it wants, but that doesn't necessarily make us what the mind thinks. But still, no, I don't believe I'm enlightened. I think I have a long way to go. Lots of pieces of myself to work out still. And thank you, dear Pidge, for the subscription that you sent to Fresh Girl Swag too. It's a fun name. Always look forward to having you here, Fresh Girl Swag. Joshua, you like beans too? Oh, I'm so happy. There's so many people liking beans today. I wonder why that is. Fresh Girl, you share that your dreams have been great since finding me. Oh, well, that's a very interesting correlation. It's very late for you. I'll try to do earlier lives tomorrow. Ragnhildur, you think that nobody has thought what you're thinking in this now. I like that. That's true. I have been posting videos again. Nagato, El Gato. You are happy? Oh, I'm happy that that you see so much potential in me and my videos. And hello, Talon. You're wondering if I can make an Amazon storefront with the books I read. That's very interesting. I've never thought about that. I can look into that. I assume that would be pretty easy. Thank you, dear Joshua, for your 10 ice cream cones too. Hari Om Tat Sat. Part of why I read is kind of to give you a little audiobook of your own, so you don't have to go out in search of these books. But nothing like having a physical copy, though. Another great thought from Lakonen. Is pizza still pizza if you put mashed potatoes on it? That's a lovely thought. That sounds delicious, actually. I think I've had pizza with potatoes on it. Not mashed potatoes, but sliced potatoes. Federica, you like beans too? Oh, my goodness. Lots of bean lovers around. It's wonderful. Dean, dude, you're wondering if I've ever sang Creed at the top of my lungs at karaoke. I can't say I have, nor have I thought about doing that either. And thank you, Joshua, for your disco love and finger heart and paper crane as well. Radhe, Radhe. It's potatizza. Potatizza. Oh my goodness. What a portmanteau. Tomorrow, for the question of the day, you share, you wonder if there is wisdom in seeking for no wisdom. That's a beautiful thought. I think that will lead you to much wisdom. Joshua, you're wondering what the scariest idea is I've come to visit. I try to avoid those ones. But not just because I'm scared of the discomfort, but also because I feel like the greatest ideas are the ones that not only push you out of your comfort zone, but also relieve you of your fear. I do believe that many truths are uncomfortable, but not because that's the nature of the truth, because it's the nature of our own inability to process it at this time or accept it. But through that process of acceptance, the greatest truths are deeply relieving, beautiful, and uplifting. It just might take some temporary discomfort to appreciate that. And hello, dear Chloe Evans. You love this question, shares Melinda. I'm happy to hear that. Lolita, you share that you are having some struggles, that you know what you need to do but cannot change. You are tired. Should you give up or should you continue? You have no discipline. You don't know if you can't or you won't. Sounds like you are being very hard on yourself at this moment, and I know that everything that is within your capacity to achieve, you will, but it takes time, patience and forgiveness, and you don't have to change all at once overnight. You're allowed mistakes and breaks on the path. And because there is so much for you to do, it may feel like you have to do it in order to be happy, but there is a peace and tranquility that's part of the journey. It's possible to find that even in the process itself. So no need to put so much pressure on a sense of self for you in the future, when all that you are and all that you are capable of is here, and it is now. Baby steps, little moments. Another great thought though from Lakonen. Does my cat think I have coprophilia because I collect the stuff in the litter box? I also wonder what they think of how a litter box functions, why it keeps disappearing, and what our purpose is in that. Alright, I'm going to minimize our question of the day for now, but thank you all for entertaining me with some very interesting thoughts. Fresh Girl Swag, you had asked, what if stars are actually the pinholes through which other universes are peeking? I love that. Actually, I know that's been thought before, because that used to be our cosmology in the Western world. We thought that the veil was just this dark sphere, and the stars were pinholes from which the light of what's beyond was peering through. Interesting piece of history. Hello, native girl. Thank you, dear Fresh Girl Swag, for your heart me as well. Jai Sita Ram. And Federica, thank you for your heart me too. I like to start my lives with a question of the day and then a reading, but I'll just read in a few minutes because I see there's some important questions asked. Thank you, dear Federica, for your heart me. Your disco love, 2 of them in fact, an ice cream cone, and a tiny yippee. Hello, dear Quinn. Chloe, you're having little trouble sleeping and you have work tomorrow. I am sure that you'll do great tomorrow, and you will fall asleep at just the right moment. Starlight, wow, you shared that you have someone in your life who chronically speaks over you and just keeps going in an angry tone, and you've discussed it with him many times, but he feels he is justified and won't stop. What to do? It sounds like so far you've been doing everything that you can do, speaking up for yourself, expressing your feelings. That's good. If you have asked them to stop and they can't, then sounds like some boundaries are to be made. I don't know their relationship to you in this life, but if there are boundaries to be set, then please set them. And if there are consequences for overstepping your boundaries, then that is something within your right, you know? Like if they want something from you, but that requires that they listen to you, that they hear you out and don't speak over you, and respect your sensitivity to anger, then it's absolutely your right to ask them for some time until you feel comfortable again giving to them in the capacity that you can, because they're not entitled to something that you offer if by doing so you are reduced in your capacity to give. You have a duty to protect yourself, your body, your mind, and your resources to give. That way you can make the biggest difference in the world. If you are being suppressed or oppressed in this way, then you have every right to defend yourself emotionally, psychologically, with respect to their needs as well. We can't expect them to change, though. And that's a counterintuitive part of this whole thing, is that we can express ourselves, we can tell them how their actions make us feel, we can express our wishes for them, we can set boundaries, but none of that implies that they're going to make a change, unfortunately. So we have to understand that just doing everything that we can do is enough. And it should be enough for our own sense of self, our own security. Anything more than that is in the hands of the universe, in the divine, whatever you call that. And I'm happy to talk more about that. Thank you, dear Joshua, for the heart you sent too. Radhe, Radhe. And I love what Feeble Mind adds, that you're no good to anyone if you aren't cared for. That starts with caring for yourself. It's true. Well said. Thank you, Kent and Lisa, for your heart me as well. Radhe, Radhe. And Jeremy, thank you for your heart me too. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Thank you, Gio, for your disco love. And your tiny. Yahoo! And Native Girl, thank you for the heart me and quintet of finger hearts that you sent earlier. Here's a finger heart for you, by the way. Jai Sitaram. Thank you, Spiritual Vibes, for your tiny too. Yum, 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 yum. And Tattvam Asi, thank you for your quintet of roses. Hare Krishna. And Jai Nisargadatta Maharaj, thank you, Babisu, for your heart me. Team bracelet, cheer you up, and a finger heart as well. There's lots of gifts that I'm a little behind on, so thank you for everyone else's patience too. Thank you, dear Babisu. Om Dum Durgaye Namaha. Lolita, you share that I am like the warmth of a good trip, like the presence that gives existence or sustenance, or there seems to be some communication happening, and I don't know, I can't make out this word, but I get the sentiment and it's very lovely, so thank you. Insurance, I wish to insure you. There are many words that this could be. But all of them are positive. I've had many bad trips myself to know what it takes to help those who are going through similar feelings. And that's my duty. And I'm honored to even participate in it. Assurance, that sounds like the word. I do wish to assure you. Thank you, Jill, for another tiny a minute ago. Yahoo! Feeble Mind, you're wondering if I can give any insight on addiction. I've been addicted to many things in my life too, from small things up to nicotine, one of the biggest things for me. Basically, what it comes down to is where you put your happiness. If you put it in a substance, then of course you're going to believe that this is what I need in order to be the fullest version of myself in this moment. Ultimately, no one can give you happiness other than yourself, and we are merely giving power away to these things to allow us to be happy. But we don't have to be so indirect about our own happiness. Repeatedly bringing to mind that my happiness is not in this substance, and replacing that with where your happiness is genuinely found. Maybe that means my happiness is in the people that I help. It's in my friends and family that I get to express myself through. It's in my job, the service that I do. It's in my ability to explore problems that I solve, hobbies that express myself. My happiness is in the love that I can give to the world. My happiness is in the source of my being. My happiness is in my connection to the divine. All of these things, we continue bringing them to mind. Eventually, all other beliefs will fall away. But it takes a long time. It can, unless it really hits you one morning, or one afternoon, or one evening. In one moment, it can change too. That you have this dramatic realization of where your happiness is. But it can also come slowly. And it can be a process that goes up and down. You take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. By the law of incremental growth, it ends up adding up. But ultimately, the goal is to realize where our true sense of purpose and meaning and happiness is. And you can't find that in any substance, in any experience of the senses that's temporary. If it were possible to find what we're looking for in something temporary, then we'd never have to do it again. You just have to take 1 cigarette and you'd be happy for the rest of your life. But clearly that's not what we're looking for. Not the momentary joy, but something more long-lasting, which means that we have to surrender our need for instant gratification for long-term satisfaction and fulfillment. Breathing. I love what you share, Federica. Breathing. Even breathing can be a miracle. Yes. Thank you, dear Bobby Sue, for the finger heart earlier, and Gabriella for your heart me and trio of roses. Radhe Radhe. And Jeremy Nason, thank you for your team bracelet. Hare Krishna. Feeble mind, you're welcome, by the way. You feel like you knew this to be true at one point in your life, but it has become muddled lately. And that's the beauty of this, is that I don't wish to tell you anything you don't already know. Anything good I have to say is merely a reminder of what we already know. And that's the nature of the highest truth, is that it's within our grasp at all times. Sometimes we forget where to look. And Arvin, thank you for your flowers. Hari Om Tat Sat. Thank you, Lolita, for your rose too. Radhe Radhe. Niana, I did private some of my videos several months ago, but slowly I've been making new ones, and I've been unprivating. I don't think that's a word, but you know what I mean. The videos that I did make private, I don't think I'll unprivate all of them, because some of them genuinely I feel like they were antagonistic to a certain practice or belief or a person or an idea that I've since learned to appreciate. And I'll still revisit the same concepts, I'd love to, but from a different perspective. And in the link tree in my bio, there's a frequently asked questions document that I think has a lot of questions and answers that people would like to know about my personal life and how I present myself on the internet. I hope that's useful for you. Greetings, dear Isabella. Alexander, you're wondering what the background music is. Well, it's something I got off SoundCloud for free with no copyright, and it's called A Dreamy Night. And in parentheses, sleep meditation music. Thank you, dear Stanina, for the heart me that you sent to. Jai Sitaram. And Feeble Mind, thank you for the manifesting. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. This music is helping you sleep, Chloe Evans. Well, it sounds like it's fulfilling its purpose. David, you're wondering, how does one stay positive spiritually when living with a serious disease like cancer? That is such an important question. Some of the most spiritual people are those who have chronic or terminal illnesses, because it can be a motivation to look for deeper truths that we might not find otherwise. Or we might not feel inspired enough to really question otherwise. There are amazing individuals who, even on their deathbed, find such peace and happiness. There is a kind of grace that is achievable even in such a circumstance. When we question our mortality, that can bring up so many uncomfortable feelings in the moment. And it's when we sift through them and process them that we're left with a deep peace. Understanding exactly the nature of yourself as it relates to the body is so important. Many of us live with the assumption that we are the body, and therefore all it means to live is to have this one body. But questioning that can bring out a lot of peace. There's more than just a body going on, such as why we say, when it comes to a dead body, that they have passed away. That the essence of a being is not something totally dependent on just the atoms and molecules arranged in this form. There's something animating it. There's something perceiving life through their eyes and ears. It's not just a bunch of chemical reactions. That is the word spirit of spirituality. Just as we have come into this world by acquiring a body, all that which we have acquired we have to let go of one day. We can do our best to take care of it, to experience life through it. But that which we have to let go of, that which we have acquired, it implies with it the assumption that there is something about us that remains, that existed before we've acquired it. And that's the nature of our existence before we were born. And so whatever death is, we will end up in the very same existence from which this existence has arisen, this life. So it's more of a returning than just a conclusion. To me, it's a natural assumption that because we have come from nothing and we return to nothing, that nothing is stopping us from becoming something again. There are different kinds of meditations that can help illuminate this fact too. Perhaps there is no proof of this logically, but through understanding, through meditation and through various spiritual means, we can begin to refute any alternative, because something about an alternative doesn't resonate with the meaning and purpose of this existence. So I would follow that trail of intuition and let it guide you to a peace that transcends the circumstance of the body. Hello, dear Priscilla. It's nice to see you again. And thank you, Anapos, for the cloud bread that you sent. You sent Radhe Radhe. And thank you, Stanina, for your trio of tiny dinies too. And your pair of finger hearts. Yippee! And Bobby Sue, thank you for your pair of tiny dinies too. Thank you, July Moon, for your lovely pair of roses as well. Hare Krishna. Lakonan, you share a beautiful addition that when experiencing a loss of a loved one, we gradually accept the human nature. Still, it does not get easier. That's something that my mother was talking about. That it's not to say that grief gets easier, but we start to understand it. appreciate some of the positives that might go unseen amidst the negative, and perhaps a kind of acceptance is generated around it as well. Krangaru, you had asked while we were discussing that, do I believe in afterlife spirits being in our world? We just cannot see them with the human eye. I believe that there is a truth to every such perception we might have. There's something in the East called the three-body principle, which states that there's three distinct levels of our being. The most obvious of which is the physical body, of course, the sthul body. But then there's also the sukshma body. Just like we have a body in the physical world, we have a body in the dream world. Don't believe me? Well, something is doing the seeing in your dreams, and it's not your physical eyes because they're closed. Something is doing the hearing in your dreams, but it's not your physical ears because your room could be silent. In a similar way, our senses are a part of our subtle body and need not depend on the physical body. But there's something even subtler than the subtle, also known as astral body, and that's the causal body. And that's the nature of a soul itself. Now, we need our senses in order to see and hear. We need our body in order to act in the world. And it's possible to exist without a physical body, but you don't have an effect in the same way. You cannot influence the physical world. So it is said that when the physical body dies, the subtle body detaches from the physical body. And there might be some time, like a limbo state, before it acquires a new body, before it grows into a tree, or becomes a carrot, or a blade of grass, or maybe it's something subtler, like it becomes a thought in another person's mind, which gives rise to another human being. Some people say that in between two lovers, when the desire arises to produce a child, it's because a spirit has entered their minds and has expressed their urge to live, and thus we are merely creating a body for them to express themselves through. These are some perspectives that perhaps illumines these experiences. And thank you, Alcoholic Jesus, for your trio of finger hearts. Jai Sitaram. And Caleb, you had asked, what tips would I give on being present, especially when having strong emotions? It can certainly feel at times that, well, the presence of strong emotions is something that we should avoid or minimize because it can be overwhelming. But to me, what's overwhelming about it is not the intensity, but our own sensitivity to it. Like, for example, this microphone is very sensitive, and as such, it does not take a loud sound to be able to peak the levels at which it's sensitive to. And anything higher than that could damage the microphone and it would have to be repaired. In a similar way, we all have sensitivities to various sensations, including our own feelings. And one way to take care of yourself is to lessen the intensity of our feelings. But that's not always possible, nor is it healthy, because it can lead to repression, and then they just resurface with even greater intensity later. Instead, we can make ourselves sensitive in such a way that we are not piqued in such a way that they do not cross our own boundaries to perceive them. What I mean to say is that our own feelings about our feelings can sometimes amplify these sensations or make us so sensitive that we easily get overwhelmed. Dropping our judgment is the first step. Accepting our feelings for being a part of this moment. Instead of pursuing the feelings in a way that continues to amplify them, we can address them. We can understand them. We can remain curious. And that simultaneously quietens them and makes us sensitive in such a way that doesn't overwhelm us. And thank you, dear Babble Fishy, for your trio of roses. Radhe, Radhe. Michelle, you shared that you were wondering how I've been lately. It's very kind of you. You've been hoping that I've been resting and eating well. Thank you. Well, to affirm you, I have been. I'm happy that you find benefit in these sanghas, Jack. I think every tradition has a kind of sangha. If you go into a church or a monastery or a cathedral or a temple, if you go into a I'm forgetting the name for the place of worship that Jewish people go to, a synagogue. If you go into a mandir, a temple, there are so many different names for places of different faiths to congregate. In these places, what is literally occurring is a sangha, an association of people who are there to uplift each other spiritually. Alas, sometimes it is true that intention to create an open space for us to take refuge in each other's experiences and help us out on the path as we relate with each other's experiences too, it can be lost from time to time. It's good to rekindle that sentiment. Today's tomorrow, you like beans? Oh, I'm happy to hear that. Good. I like beans too. And I love that. Lakonen. In other words, the effect of a person still stays long after in many different forms. That's beautiful. Now, I would like to read another section from this book with you all. And we can continue discussing anything discussed so far or anything inspired by this text. Today we're going into a new chakra, but I'll answer this question too because it's a nice short one. Do I consider myself religious in the typical mainstream way? Oh, I don't think I'm anything typical. I consider all traditions as genuine, so long as they lead one to truth, to patience, to beauty, to a tenderness of heart, to compassion and understanding. All of these are hallmarks of becoming higher on the spiritual path, getting closer to that source which represents all of these infinite, unlimited qualities as we shed our own limitations. I don't consider myself a follower of any particular path, but I do find truth in many and like to uplift the path that everyone around me is on individually. And hello, dear Mason. Thank you, Peter Schaefer, for your rose too. Om Mani Padme Hum. Alright. So we're going through the chakras one by one in great detail now that we've laid the foundation of yoga. Today we're talking about the third human chakra, which is the Manipura Chakra. And here's a beautiful art piece symbolizing the chakra, and we're going to discuss all the symbolism. we can see, for example, there is the Bija mantra for it, that is Ram in Devanagari, and of the various petals around it, there are sub-mantras going clockwise. It looks like a font that I'm not sure I can differentiate. Is this Pum or Kam? I guess we'll discuss it as we go through. But to me it looks like Pum, then there's Dum, then Dhum aspirated, Num, Dum, Yum, Dum, Dhum, Nam, and Pum. So we've got all the different D sounds, both the dental and retroflex, both aspirated and unaspirated. Oh, and I said yum, but this is actually the aspirate of tum. Anyway, lots of symbolism. Let's just do a brief overview of all the qualities and symbols of the Manipura Chakra, and then go into the first few paragraphs, unboxing this dump of information. So the Manipura Chakra, also known as the solar plexus chakra, is positioned within the body on the spinal column, level with the navel, where your belly button is. Its color is yellow and orange, representing fire and energy. Speaking of which, its tattva, its element, is fire, tejas, which represents digestive fire and purification. Its mantra is Ram, and its sub-mantras are Dum, Dhum, Nam, Tum, Dhum, Dum, Dhum, Nam, Hum, and Pum. Its lotus has 10 petals, a symbol of the 10 pranas, the 10 vital forces within the body. Its animal is the ram, representing power and activity. The corresponding divinity is Vishnu, who personifies human consciousness, evolution, and fire, and Lakshmi, who represents prosperity and happiness, as opposed to the deception of material existence, Maya. I'll just show you those two figures as well. There is a form of Vishnu, and there is Lakshmi. Its symbols include an inverted triangle, which represents awakening and unfolding, going from one point, spreading out. Qualities and aspects include human consciousness, clarity, self-confidence, well-being, self-esteem, the meeting point of prana and apana, the distribution of nourishment of the body, the burning of nectar from the Bindu chakra that we'll get to, that's an 8th chakra, often unspoken for, and the seat of words. Its prana, the vital energy it represents, is samana, or samana, rather, with the right emphasis. That represents a distribution of nourishment throughout the body. The plane of reality it represents is Svarloka, which is the heavenly or celestial plane. Its celestial body is the sun, and its principle is Buddhi, which is the intellect responsible for judgment, and the principle Brahma, creation. Its feature is Rupa, representing having form. Its precious stone is a ruby. Its metal is iron. Its mineral is sulfur. Its characteristic is shoka, sorrow or grief. Its sensation is kshuddha, hunger. Its sense organ is chakshu, the eyes, and the principle of surya, the sun, sight, visualization. Its taste is spicy. Its quality is utkramana, burning. The part of the body it symbolizes is pada, the feet, the principle known as upendra, walking and movement. Its organ is the nadi, the nerves. Its gland is the pancreas. The plexus is the solar plexus, and the other names include the Nabi Kamala, the navel center, and the fire center. So that's a big information dump, but for posterity, I'm going through everything in this book. Now, goodbye, dear Lolita. Thank you for being here. And I'll just read the first few paragraphs to unbox all that has been said. So, this solar plexus chakra, the Manipura Chakra. Mani means the pearl or jewel, and Pura means a place or city. Manipura means the city of jewels. After we have passed through the levels of the unconscious and subconscious, the Muladhara Chakra and the Svadhisthana Chakra, our consciousness reaches the third level, the Manipura Chakra. With the realization of the Manipura Chakra, the aspirant has reached an important stage on the spiritual path. For once the consciousness has unfolded in the Manipura Chakra, there is a greater likelihood that, under the guidance of a realized master, one can attain the goal of supreme consciousness in this lifetime. At the Manipura Chakra, more than half of the journey towards realization has already been completed. The position of the Manipura Chakra is in the middle of the abdomen, behind the navel. This is why it is also simply known as the navel center. More precisely speaking, its area of influence radiates out about 7 centimeters above and below the navel. Its counterpart in the body is the solar plexus. The Manipura Chakra is the city of jewels, in which we find the pearls of clarity, wisdom, self-confidence, and well-being. Their luster radiates down to the lower chakras as well as up to the heart center, the Anahata Chakra. The feelings of love and happiness that we feel in our heart actually originate in the Manipura center and rise there from the Anahata Chakra. The positive radiance emanating from the Manipura Chakra also purifies the Svadhisthana Chakra and Muladhara Chakras and their qualities. Alright, we'll pause our reading as we have introduced the Manipura Chakra there for now. So thank you for listening. Namaste. And there's much more to learn about this energy center, so we'll continue to discuss it as we continue doing these readings, which are always uploaded to my YouTube channel in case you want to be caught up. And thank you, dear Stanina, for your applause that you sent. Let me give you some applause too. And Vanessa for your trio of roses. Hari Om Tat Sat. Starlight Wow, you were wondering if I know any of the realized masters in form now. I don't know any personally. But, well, besides the author of the book, Vishwa Guruji, Paramahans Swami Maheshwarananda, he is still alive. He is the guru of Ushabai, who sent this book to me all the way from Serbia. There are many realized masters, but they often are hard to find, you know, living under rocks in the jungle maybe. Or they could be right next door. Sometimes it's hard to tell. What we can do is continue searching and understand that if we are to find a realized master, they should have certain qualifications, like being free of egoity, jealousy, envy. If they're asking for any money, you know, that's a good sign that they may not be a realized master, because the science of yoga is such that it's passed down orally through generations for free, you know. The guru receives the teachings for free from his guru or her guru. They receive it for free from their guru, etc. At no point does this teaching have a price to it. So we should go forth in search of masters who deliver this wisdom without any price. And also you can ask yourself, in their presence, are you benefiting? Do you feel like you are learning the science that answers all of your questions? That your nuances, the subtleties are being addressed? Or do you feel like you're getting more confused and maybe more frustrated? Of course, a little bit of that is always allowed. But if it's endless frustration, then perhaps it's time to move on to another place that you can look for. I know that of the Kriya Yoga lineage from which Paramahansa Yogananda and his chain of gurus were from, there is a great being known today as Yogi Raj Satgurunath Siddhanath. And he has many teachings available on the internet, and you can find him in real life too. I am still a beginner myself, and I have yet to have one of these great beings touch me in the physical presence, so I hope that my heart is open to their touch one day. Until then, we can just read the books from these great masters and continue to work on ourselves. Tin Man Doug, you ask, so you shouldn't send me any money so I can be a master. If you feel like you have to send money, then no, yes, don't send me anything, because there is absolutely no expectation for there to be a payment system involved here. That's not the purpose. But if due to the love in your heart you wish to give, well, you are welcome to support me in that way. But it's not required for me to be there for you in any capacity. When it comes to great masters, of which I am not, there is something called Guru Dakshina, which is the gift that you give a guru. But because it's a gift, it means that it comes from your heart and it's voluntary. And that gift could be something as simple as a petal of a rose, even a rock, It's not the nature of the gift, it's the love in which it was given. And that can tell the guru, the teacher, that, you are open. You are open. That you are not here just to gain something from me, but to express yourself. And I think that's a qualification for the student, as well as it is for the teacher. Their humility. Nume, you share that you're supposed to sleep right now, but I'm just too pretty to look at. Well, that's very kind of you, but there's plenty of beauty within you, waiting to be found, especially in your dreams, and I hope you get the rest that you deserve. Now, bimbos never change. You're wondering, do I ever think about ending it? If by ending it you are referring to saying goodbye to this body and the life we've made of it, naturally, we are always going to be in question of how we can be in this world, given our circumstances and our own abilities, and how it all relates together. There have been times in my life where I've been so low that I thought perhaps it would be better if I just moved on. I think all human beings at some point go through experiences that invoke these questions. Sometimes all at once, sometimes spread over a whole life. It is the question, the ultimate philosophical question, to be or not to be. But so far, it doesn't seem like there's any good reason not to be. Yes, there is suffering. But does that suffering mean that you shouldn't be? Sometimes the suffering is our own growth. It is the sign that we are pushing up against a resistance. And that means that we are growing. Sometimes it means that we've been placed in a situation that we have to set boundaries. And it's only natural that we set those boundaries when we learn how to be brave enough to do so. Sometimes the suffering of our friends, family, and others around the world can be a sign of how much we have to give. Sometimes it's a sign of how much we have to forgive. There are so many different reasons for suffering. And although this life is fraught full of suffering, if we find the right reason, we can endure all of it, even with a kind of ease, even with a kind of peace that transcends even the experience of this moment, no matter how unfavorable or unfortunate it may be. I believe this is a possibility for you. Why? Because it's a possibility for me, and I see the truth in it. And what's special about me in this way is truly not because I'm special, but because we all share the same source. And it is within that source we're all drawn to in every moment, in all actions. We all want to be happy because that's our original nature. And because it's our original nature, we all have that possibility of returning to. We don't have to take any drastic measures. We can just find that source within the seat of this very moment. It can take practice and a lot of trial and error, but slowly we bring out the potential of goodness that's here and now. And thank you, dear Shakira, for the heart me you sent too. Hello. Jai Sitaram. And Babblefishy, thank you for your trio of roses. Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you, dear Paul, for your cloud bread and heart me too. Radhe Radhe. And thank you, Strawberry Star Bunny, for your donut too. Om Kring Kalikai Namaha. Thank you for sharing your blessings. Your blessings, Misty. I hope to create a mist of blessings in this space. An aura where it's all around. And thank you, dear Dub Darker, for your heart me as well. Hare Krishna. And Starlight Wow, thank you for your tiny too. Yippee! Starlight Wow, you ask a great question. Do gurus set boundaries? Boundaries are linked with separate selves, not unity. Please talk on this. It seems like when we are setting a boundary, we are creating a division. And it's actually this understanding of a boundary which makes them unhealthy. A healthy boundary is not meant to create a division, but actually make us be able to understand each other better, able to take our differences in life and place ourselves in a position of being able to connect without sacrificing each other's needs, so that we value the experiences on both sides. Actually, it's to create a sense of unity that we create healthy boundaries. For example, between a guru and a student, a guru may set many boundaries to be able to have a deeper unity at the level of the heart, at the level of consciousness. we may make physical boundaries for each other so that we can remind ourselves where we actually are connected, that we don't have to be attached to the physicality of the other person. You can be miles away in this universe, but still be close at another level, still be unified at another level. Boundaries can help make that understanding more possible. So yes, absolutely, a guru can set boundaries just like anyone else. And in fact, they know how to, in a way that strengthens their connection. For example, it's not so uncommon for people to fall in love with their guru, and the guru has to repeatedly remind them, I know that I remind you of everything that you want in a romantic partner, because in many ways people look for understanding and wisdom in a romantic partner. But we have to set the boundary that this relationship is not intimate in that way. At a deeper level it is, but at a human level there has to be some space in order for this to be. Sometimes I've heard that gurus can be very direct in that way, that they remind them of their nature and the nature of the relationship. I hope that makes sense. Hello, dear Marlin. Meow. I saw that you sent me meow earlier. Just a meow message. Shakira, you share that you can see how that's possible. I think it's only natural that boundaries should be set to ensure the health of a relationship, to make sure that the role of a relationship is being respected and maintained as well. And oftentimes, always, not just often, but always, when it comes to the sanctuary, the sacredness of the bond between a teacher and a student, boundaries are set for the protection of the student as well. You like beans, Jay Sullivan. I'm happy to hear that. The Bhagavad you shared, same as transference in psychotherapy. Oh, that's a wonderful example. Yeah, there's an agreement that every psychologist will make with you before the practice happens. That often it's said in very direct terms that we can't be friends in the sense that one might imagine. And it's so often that it has to be said like that because, people can fall in love with their therapist because, they listen to me, they understand me, there's a connection there. But not always does a connection like that mean that there has to be anything romantic or anything personal. So boundaries are there to protect the sanctuary of that, the sanctity of that relationship. Yes, well said, Marlon. Boundaries are a good thing. We might get the impression otherwise because maybe we've tried to set boundaries with people before and they've interpreted that as some slight against them, as a punishment, like you've lost a privilege, but they're a part of a healthy relationship. Not a punishment at all, actually something to make your connection stronger, just in other ways. Jay, you were wondering what microphone I'm using. Yes, it's kind of hard to see, isn't it? Because it's under a sock. I'm using a Blue Yeti microphone, USB microphone. Sauce, you shared that. Boundaries equal discipline. That's true. Yeah. And just as we were talking about the disciple of a guru, Well, there's no coincidence that the root of discipline and disciple is the same. I'd love to know what it means in Latin. I assume it comes from. I wonder what the Latin meaning of that root is and where it comes from. Shakira, you add that boundaries are awesome and vital, and you're happy that gurus are so upfront about that. Yes. In fact, that adds to the discussion of how you can tell if a guru is qualified. If there's no boundaries in that regard, then that's suspicious. Because the role must be made very clear to you that they're not here to give you pleasure, they're not here to give you power, they're not here to be your boyfriend or girlfriend, you know. So you know exactly what the role is. For spiritual transcendence. I really like the point that that Priscilla inferred. You shared that guru to you are women, you know. And because I know you personally, I know we've talked about how you are a woman and you are heterosexual. So I think you bring up a beautiful point that there is a sanctity of a relationship to those that were not interested in that way. And that almost makes a kind of teacher. Of course, we can find teachings in everyone, but it gets complicated when your teacher is someone you're sleeping with, isn't it? So the best teachers in life are ones where there's a non-attachment at the physical level. And for you, that means all the women in your life. And I think that's beautiful, that you see such a teacher, such a source of spiritual wisdom in them. Welcome, India. You've had a day, I imagine. There has been a day. And the possibilities for that day are just as diverse as the people living them. Thank you, dear Laura, for the tiny that you sent a minute ago too. Yippee! And John Simon, thank you for your quartet of roses and a heart me. Radhe Radhe. And thank you, dear Bobby Sue, for your pair of finger hearts. Jai Sita Ram. Shakira, you share that some would say their spouse teaches them every day, and that would be an exception. Yes, perhaps I could have used better words to describe that point. Of course, there is so much learning that happens between our partner in that way. If I were to use more precise words, it's that when there is someone in your life where there's no question of physical intimacy, and that the role is only to be there for you at a spiritual level, then that's where such a deep and beautiful and ancient relationship can blossom. And I love that too, Jay Sullivan. It is said that unconditional positive regard is foundational to any substantive relationship. Very true. Yes. You all are bringing points that I fully agree with. So I wish to clarify that it's not that teaching cannot happen from those you are intimate with. Oh my goodness, so much learning happens through that passion, through that intimacy. but that if your guru wants to go to bed with you, then I would be suspicious if they are a guru or not. Let me put it like that. Because then, how could you be sure that they only want to give to you rather than possibly get something from you? A true guru in that regard has nothing to get from you other than your ears, other than your understanding, other than an open heart in that way. And thank you, dear Tin Man Doug, for the ice cream and finger heart you sent as well. Jai Sitaram. India, you share that you really don't feel a part of this world in a sense. Don't know sadness, but difference. Well, it's true that there is more to our being than what was in the physical. There is more to our beingness than just our bodies. Though our body is absolutely a part of the world, it interacts with it, it's subject to the same laws of physics, our consciousness is beyond the material existence. Because there are two forces at work. The Prakriti, which is the material nature, the world, and there is the Purusha, the consciousness, which illumines the world from the inside out. I made a recent video about this in case you want to check it out. So, if you are becoming more in touch with your Purusha, your consciousness, then naturally you may feel a little disconnected from the world, from the Prakriti, the nature. But they are two sides of our existence, and you cannot have existence without one of them. And they're inseparable, one with each other. So there comes a point where not only do we realize ourselves to be pure consciousness, we also recognize that we have a role to play in the world as the witness of it, as the one that gets to see nature unfold. So that would be my video on Prakriti and Purusha. And I love the way you put that too, Jay Sullivan. Hegel would say that one necessitates the other. Student makes a guru, and guru makes a student. I think it's very similar to a child and their parent. That if you never had children, how can you call yourself a parent? Now, of course, if you are a child, that must mean that you have a parent. But in another way, if we are without parents, then that forces us to grow up. How can we be children without the guidance of a parent? In a similar way, I think the relationship is just as special and unique. That a parent may be your parent, but they might not be someone else's parent, you know? And a child may be your child, but that doesn't mean they're someone else's child, necessarily. So too, I think a guru and disciple, guru-student relationship is such that a guru may be your guru. They might not be someone else's. And a student may be your student, but they might not be someone else's too. And that is true, Sovereign. There are different types of gurus, and that's okay. There are Upa-gurus and there are Sat-gurus. Upa-gurus are the ones that guide you on the path until the final teacher that takes you across the ocean of Maya. For example, in early life, our parents are our Upa-gurus. and then our children and our classmates and our teachers. And if we are fortunate to have a healthy one, perhaps a religious figure in our life is an upaguru. But eventually one comes to a personal relationship with the Satguru. Someone who takes you the final step of the way to spiritual transcendence. Literally speaking, the word guru comes from the root gu, which means darkness. Added to that, the affix ru, which means dissolver of. So in Sanskrit, guru means the one who dissolves darkness. The darkness in this case is the ignorance of the nature of ourself, how we fit into this world, what it means to be a part of it, how we can be happy. Without that insight, without that light, then we are said to be in gu, in darkness. And so one who is able to illumine that darkness for you, dissolve it, and bring you into understanding of yourself, how you relate to this world, what it means to be a part of it, how you can be happy. Only they can truly be said to fulfill the literal definition of a guru. Someone who takes you from darkness into light, from unreality into reality, from suffering to bliss. Mr. Mate, you're wondering, is there a name for one who brings darkness, like an anti-guru? Well, that's a good question. I mean, of course, there's probably an affix that we could affix to... Oh, that's why it's called an affix, because we affix it. Oh. Well, that word just revealed itself to me in that moment. But yes, of course. Sanskrit is beautiful that it's a living language. Meaning that you can create words, understanding the roots. We can do this in Latin too. And because Latin is one of the roots of English, we can create new scientific words in Latin all the time. But we can do this directly with Sanskrit. I don't know enough to be able to tell you what word would be an anti-guru, other than slipping a suffix a, which means not, and aguru. Aguru. That would mean that which is not a guru. Or a nirguru. That without a guru ability. But I've never heard of a direct antagonist of a guru. But I like Sovereign's interpretation of a bully. But the thing is that there really is no opposite of a guru, because you can find a teaching within everything. For example, bullies can teach us a lot about what it means to be a student, what it means to value our sense of self beyond the version that others imagine for us. Bullies can teach us about forgiveness. There can be a guru within them too. And thank you, dear Doug, for your ice cream and finger heart. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. And I love that addition too, Mr. Sullivan. Just as in Plato's cave, it's not the messenger, it's a choice to receive the message. That's beautiful. Thank you, dear Peter, for your rose as well. Hari Om Tat Sat. Shakira, you ask, if the student falls in love with the guru, does the guru drop them as a student, or does the guru tell them it'll pass? That's a good question. I imagine it depends greatly on the context. because there is a spiritual lesson which is possible in that, then I imagine a guru could create a teaching out of this. Ultimately, if you are still dedicated to learning, then there should be no reason for the guru to drop you as a student. That's called it's called Guru Kripa, the grace of the Guru. The mercy of the Guru is such that if you take refuge, they're stuck with you. Because they attract you just as much as you attract them. And not attraction at the level of the problem that you've just mentioned of falling in love with them. But in a spiritual sense, there's so much potential. That would be like a gardener walking by a patch of soil with all of these sprouts, and they recognize the flowers that are there, and they know exactly what's needed for this flower to grow. They see the vulnerability in this flower, and oh my goodness, such a gardener could not be taken away from that patch of soil. But if that flower grows to depend on the gardener, then it's also the gardener's duty to make the flower independent. And perhaps, if it is necessary, depending on the garden, for some distance to be created, for the flower to learn a little bit on its own for a while, then I see how that's a possibility. But it requires an intimate knowledge and connection with the flower from the side of the gardener. Shmavid, you like beads? Good, I'm happy to hear that. And Meng, you're wondering, how does one obtain a guru? Well, you can go guru shopping. I mean that half jokingly. The joking part is is the shopping. You don't have to buy a guru. They're free. Other than the price of, your time, your effort, your energy, your devotion. But you go searching. And the genuine seeker within you, that manifests the teacher before you. The very own Paramatma, the higher self within your Atma, is said to be what grants the grace of a guru. That's a nice alliteration. Grants the grace of a guru. That when your higher self grants the grace, to be what grants the grace of a guru. That's a nice alliteration. Grants the grace of a guru. That when your higher self grants the grace, Now my live stream disconnected me for a second. So, please let me know if I have returned. I have returned. Okay, good. And the guru arrives when the student is ready. Just as one requires a qualified teacher, well, the teacher requires a qualified student. They are not going to give their teachings to those who are not open to receiving them. That would be like watering a plant with a leaf over it that just redirects all of the water off a cliff. What would be the point in watering this leaf if it's just going to go away? Although the teaching is eternal, the form of the teaching is temporary. The body of a teacher, they're not always going to be there in their physical presence. In that way, time, energy, and resources are limited because for as long as we are living in material existence. Then for the Guru to come, descend into material existence also, they have to use all the same words. They have to feed themselves because they have the same cells. They have to sleep. Although some gurus are said to have transcended sleep, but nonetheless, there is always some need to take care of the very vehicle which is delivering the teachings. And because of that precious resource of the vehicle, which is temporary, then there is a qualification on the student's part too. Shakira, you liked the story I said about the student who wanted a specific guru, and the guru said no. Oh, you mean the story about me and the Swami I went to? It was recently that I had a phone call with a Swami who was the guru of a spiritual brother of mine, Nish the Fish. He's on TikTok. Some of you may know him. He's very well versed in the Ramakrishna Math, which is the lineage he's a part of, as well as Kashmir Shaivism and Tantra. Anyway, long ago, he offered me the ability to learn with him under the guidance of his guru, Swami Sarvadevananda. And I finally got around to being in contact with his guru. And eventually we were emailing and I arranged a phone call. And I think it's amazing that today you can just email a guru, you know? We think of them as being part of an ancient tradition, but we live in the modern world. The gurus also have to adapt to that. They have phone numbers now. They have emails. Anyway, so I was emailing with this Swami and he asked me to phone him. And it was just a surreal experience talking to him. And you could very clearly tell he was in an airport at the time. There was all these announcements being said, which is very symbolic for so many reasons. And he was getting older too. So I think, I had to speak louder because it was hard for him to hear me. But anyway, he was asking, why do I want to come? Why don't you go somewhere else? And, I was giving him all these reasons that I wanted to go and learn under him. And he said, no, you should go somewhere else. I think it would be easier. So you don't have to worry about coming to America. I want you to go somewhere else. Maybe Toronto. There's a wonderful temple in Toronto. I know the Swami of that temple. I'll give you his email address, his phone number. And I thought that was very sweet of him, that because he was looking out for my best interest, that involved him saying no, because due to his understanding of my situation, he knew that a better method of learning, of teaching, of growing on the spiritual path would be afforded to me in another way. And ironically, that certainly qualifies him to be a guru, just not my guru necessarily. And I think that's very beautiful, very considerate. You didn't hear that story, so you were thinking of a different story then. I am sorry. But there are many stories like that. Thank you, dear Jeremy, for your rosa you sent a few minutes ago. Hari Om Tat Sat. It does feel like rejection a little bit, but it's also an even deeper affirmation in another way. Well, we've certainly talked a lot about gurus for the last half an hour or so. Mason, you share that you feel like a guru is kind of like a sponsor in a 12-step program. I love that. Yeah, I think you're certainly right in many ways. That, ultimately we're the ones that have to put in the effort. No matter how great your guru is, they can't make you realize something that you have control over, whether you realize it or not. Whether we want to realize it, whether we want to accept it or bring our awareness somewhere. That is our freedom, not something that can be imposed upon. Chastity, hello. You were in 12 steps. Well, that's a very relevant conversation for you then. I think it's wonderful that you're doing that. A beautiful thing to do for yourself and for those that you love, and as a role model for so many other people in the world. Now, Shasha, you were wondering if you are late. You are just on time, but it happens to be an hour and a half into our live stream today. Yes, I remember your situation with your boyfriend, Chastity. I'm sorry to hear about the decision that you feel like he should be making for his health, since you see the potential in him. But that's not a decision we can make for them. Nonetheless, you are doing the best that you can in the decisions that you have the capacity to make, and that's all right. You're very funny, Anna. The objective is to find a guru. The obstacle is the guru. Yeah. The guru is the obstacle and the way around the obstacle. Fortunately, there are many kinds of gurus, as we've been discussing. And in the book, The Hidden Power of Humans, the most important guru is the inner guru. In fact, that is ultimately what a guru in the physical presence will guide you to also. They just know where to find it, whereas we might not. But when we are ready, the inner guru reveals itself also. And thank you, Larissa, for the heartsme that you have shared too. Om Namah Shakti Shavaya. And it is true that some people don't want help. They can't force them, unfortunately. Or they want help, but they don't want to put in what it takes to get help, because that requires acknowledging some parts of themselves they have spent so much time trying to ignore. They've invested so much energy in other ways of being that their own stubbornness is preventing them from getting the help that's possible for them. And hello, vegan pixels. Welcome. And that's cute, Guru Jared. Are there gurus in the chat? Jared says. I mean, kinda. Just a little one, though. Just a little guy. And I love that you followed that up with, we are students of life, no matter the label. It's beautiful. Humility is such an important qualification as well. Mason, you would like for us to read a section from the Pocket Pema Chodra. I have to reach past you. Excuse my reach. Yeah. Let's do so. I just have to find one that we haven't read yet. And that'll be difficult because we've read almost all of them by now. I don't think we've read 98 yet, so let's read this one. You need a Pema sticker? Oh, we could do something about that. Alright, that's Rumi. Rumi is a lovely source of wisdom, one of the books we read, but Pemas cover is one I wanted to bring up. And a Rumi sticker then too. I don't know if we have depictions of Rumi. I guess we do, since there's an outline of his profile on the cover. Alright. Let's read this short verse called Living Without an Agenda, number 98 of the 108 here. Could our minds and hearts be big enough just to hang out in that space where we are not entirely certain about who's right and who's wrong? Could we have no agenda when we walk into a room with another person, not know what to say, not make that person wrong or right? Could we see, hear, feel other people as they really are? It is powerful to practice this way, because we'll find ourselves continually rushing around to try to feel secure again. To make ourselves or them either right or wrong. But true communication can only happen in that open space. That's number 98. Living without an agenda. I resonate with that. Having an opening in our heart, in our minds, means that wherever we go, whoever we're with, we are not so quick to parse it through filters such as right or wrong. We can allow this moment to be undecided. Allow this moment to be uncertain. Uncertainty isn't something we have to fear, because it's just another name for possibility. And in this moment, anything is possible. So thank you for listening. We'll crack open the bucket Pema Chodran another day. And Pazion, you had asked for a verse from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 16. We can do that too. Thank you, dear Jessica, for the heart me you sent too. Jai Sitaram. Let's see, chapter 16 is right near the end of the book. I think it's the second to last chapter, isn't it? Or third to last. Alright. Let's start with the beginning. Lord Krishna says to Arjuna, fearlessness, purity of heart, knowledge, steadfastness in yoga, charity and control over the senses, performance of spiritual sacrifice, study of the divine scriptures, austerity, straightforwardness, non-injury to the innocent, truthfulness, absence of anger, renunciation, peacefulness, aversion to slander, kindness to beings, absence of greed, gentleness, modesty, absence of restlessness, vigor, forgiveness, fortitude, purity, absence of hatred, absence of conceit. These attributes belong to one who is born to attain divine nature, O descendant of Bharata. The divine attributes, or for liberation. Do not grieve, O Pandava, for you are born with divine attributes. That is chapter 16, the first few verses. I hope you enjoyed that. Now, dear Lola, you were wondering if I had any insight or advice on OCD and intrusive thoughts. Well, intrusive thoughts we can talk about generally. OCD is a complex disorder that I'm not qualified to speak on. We would have to rely on the words from other psychologists that I have yet to learn from myself. All I can really say is, regardless of the diagnosis, you're always worthy of love, and your capacity to be healthy and happy is the same. The possibility within you for love, for peace, for bliss, it doesn't diminish even in such a condition. You like beans. I'm happy to hear that, JR. A lot of people liking beans today. Beans. In some sense, all thoughts are intrusive. And in another sense, no thought is intrusive. What I mean by this is, either all thoughts are an expression of you or no thoughts are. Otherwise, what would be differentiating some thoughts from another? We have so many thoughts at any given moment, some overlapping, some conflicting, some in harmony, some give rise to certain sensations, some seem to repress other feelings. And each moment you get to decide which thoughts you want to give energy to. And by that I mean which thoughts you choose to express yourself through, which thoughts you choose to identify with. Consider thoughts like dialogue options in a video game, like a role-playing video game. Back in the old day, before the invention of artificial intelligence, the writers for a video game had to manually create this network of options where you talk to an NPC and they would say something to you, and then there would be a list of 2, 3, 4, 5, however many options that you get to respond to. So if you think that you're the one that comes up with all the options, you'll drive yourself crazy. Because the first option says to punch the guy in the face, the second option says to walk away, the third says to ask about the quest, and the fourth says to give them, 5 gold coins. If you think that all of these thoughts are an expression of you, oh my goodness, no wonder you're going to feel in conflict. Actually, the developer has made it such that there are going to be conflicting dialogue options for the diversity of ways in which you wish to express yourself. A person who wants to play the game with one role in mind, they may choose the first dialogue option. With another idea in mind for themselves, they may choose the second, and for another, a third, fourth, a fifth. Even though we have a diversity of thoughts, and that these thoughts are not created by us, we still find expression through them. We get to choose which one represents our values for this playthrough, for this life. In the same way, Don't drive yourself nuts over dialogue options that seem to not express yourself. They are there only in contrast to the ways in which you do want to express yourself. So forgive yourself for having conflicting thoughts. You have a diversity of thoughts, and that's great. I should hope that your thoughts are diverse. That means you're getting information from many different places, doesn't it? If you have conflicting thoughts, that must mean that you have a lot of different experiences, and that's good. And you get to choose, in this experience you're having right now, which of these thoughts best represents this moment for you. What allows you to serve yourself in all beings? What allows you to be more inclusive, be more free? Go with those thoughts, and even though the other ones might seem louder, might seem more intense, might want your intention more, they are made that way to get a reaction out of you. So there is no necessity to give energy to all thoughts, just the ones that make the most sense to you. And thank you, dear JR, for your whipped coffee. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hello, Van. I am well. Thank you for asking. How are you? I don't think I have a Bible next to me right now, but I hope that your study of the scripture, if it means something to you, is going well. Happy to see you. You are overthinking. Oh. Well, that's allowed, but not necessary. There are lots of things in our life that we could be analyzing. We don't have to figure it all out, and especially not in this moment. Of course, there are times when I overthink. And I am learning how to be more mindful of my own thought process. That there are experiences that come that I'm allowed to accept as they are. I don't have to process everything all at once. There is so much of life. There is more to life than we have the ability to process, to think about. And there is so much to life beyond our thoughts also. Shakira, this is a hydration checkpoint. Thank you for reminding me. And everyone else who deserves some hydration too. Linda, you're wondering what my take is on hallucinations. Well, we could be experiencing something that another person isn't experiencing, but that doesn't mean it's not real to us. It's really a thing that we experience sometimes. What we call as a hallucination just means that someone else might not be experiencing it. But that doesn't mean you're invalid in your experience. Sometimes it can point to underlying conditions that should be addressed with love and care and the right support, medically, psychologically. Sometimes it points to something we've put in our mouth, certain psychoactive compounds that can create these experiences. But at the end of the day, they're like dreams, Even though other people don't experience your dreams are still relevant to you. They still have meaning imparted by your experience. And it's our duty to incorporate sense of self and order and understanding in our dreams, just as we do in our waking state, just as we do with any experience, regardless of if someone else experiences it as well. Now, Maker Nemo, you're wondering if I've ever thought about a high-level concept so much that I experienced temporary derealization. Sometimes, through my study of math or Advaita Vedanta, there are concepts that are so abstract, so esoteric, that they pull you from any sort of reasoning that you're familiar with in this present moment. They take you so far beyond the experiences you've had thus far in life. But at the same time, there is nothing higher than this moment. That this reality contains all the highest truth, so there's no reason to separate your attention from it, whatever that even means, because no matter what, you are a part of this moment. It may seem like the spiritual truths are pointing you to be separate from this world, to eventually transcend it, but I would also ignore the fact that all there is to attain spiritually is one with this world, is one with this moment. The highest truths, ultimate liberation, it's possible here. No need to go anywhere else, either physically or mentally, and especially not spiritually. In that sense, I think the highest truths, they at first may rip you from this moment, and then they plant you so firmly in it that you are rooted, you are grounded in this present moment. You are so still and one with it that nothing can take you away from what you need to hear from others, what you need to do for others. That's all part of our highest purpose. Julia, you're wondering what the background sound title is. What we are listening to is called The Healing Winds, known as, or I guess it's 432 hertz meditation music, in parentheses. I got it off SoundCloud. Matt Killing It, you feel lonely in the Bean Club. What's going on? Oh, I think you're not alone. Maker Nemo, you're wondering if you can ask something. 16 roses that you sent. Computer science and logic constantly gets you to some pure math stuff and you love it, but damn, it's wild. Oh yeah. A monad is a monoid in the category of endofunctors. What does it mean? You love beans, Marlon? Oh, that makes me happy. Mason, you love beans, but they don't love you. Are you sure about that? Have we asked the bean? We'll have to get one on the latest podcast. I'm just kidding. I don't have a podcast, but Maker Nemo. Oh, I did see this question. Yeah. But because you asked politely, I will attend to it. Am I aware that I'm using the same intonation as cult leaders in a lot of my explanations? It is a bit of a loaded question, isn't it? I hope that my voice does not sound condescending. I'm happy to hear that you mean it in the politest way, that you don't believe I'm a cult leader. Or trying to be. Thank you. Actually, let me put it like this. I think cult leaders are trying to imitate powerful people that came before them, that actually did good for the world. Because the line between a genuine spiritual community where we listen to each other and we support each other, and one that becomes an exclusive echo chamber for extremist ideas, it can be very thin. And there have been many great saints and beings that probably speak in the same way that other leaders who try to imitate them do for the sake of gaining their own personal power. And that's not to say I'm putting myself on the same platform as great beings, because I'm certainly not. But I have listened to many of them myself, and I've learned from their ways, and that probably has an effect on the way in which I convey myself too, since these ideas are not my own, and I am a fellow student on the path, and there have been many greats that have come before me. I feel that there is a particular way in which spiritual concepts are said that involve a lot of precision. Like, for example, there is a space between words to give you a lot of time to process. The last thing I want is to speak in such a way that you lose sense of what I'm trying to convey. So I try to be conscious of the speed at which I speak. And words have the power to uplift or oppress. I try to choose the words that uplift. I actually listened to a wonderful documentary about the nature of speech in cults and cult leaders. There was a linguist that I like to listen to on YouTube. I forget her name, but I recently watched her analysis of cult leader speech. For example, there are many aspects that can be attributed to the nature of cult leaders. One of them is that they use terms that create an in-group and inherently imply a sense of others. It is one of the hallmarks of a cult, is that there's a boundary between us and them. Either you're in the truth or you're not. And I try to be very conscious with this, that I use terminology that includes everyone and doesn't exclude anyone. There's also a lot of buzzwords and slang. I use a lot of Sanskrit terms, but only to appreciate the culture in which many of these wonderful ideas have come from. And I do not claim to have any ownership over these beautiful ancient words. But anyway, speech aside, it is important to be aware of the dangers of spiritual communities, because they can very quickly lead to a sense of exclusivity, that we are enlightened beings here to make a difference in the world, and others are not at the same level of consciousness. We have to be very cautious of this. And at any point I could remind anyone that nothing that happens in this space is something to speak over the voice of others. It is not intending to repress anyone's voice. And if someone feels like someone's perspective or their voice is being spoken over, then, let us uplift their voice. I want to live in the world where everyone's perspective is valued. I believe that whatever tradition or community you are already a part of and you feel at home there, that's wonderful. And I have no sense of competition with the path that we are all already on together individually. So I thank you for providing me the opportunity to speak up on that. And yes, just as G2 Infinity said to Mason, I just made a video on karma. So, you are welcome to check that out. It's my most recent video. Yeah, it's a precise technical word that's used in many ways. And as far as my understanding goes, the most original definition, according to the Bhagavad Gita, is given in that video. I hope it's informative for you. Speaking of karma, Athena, you had asked, what happens, I love mung beans by the way, what happens to the soul when it fulfills its karmic purpose? Can a soul fulfill its karmic purpose? What does karmic mean literally? This was discussed in my recent video also. It's related to the verb karomi, which means I do, I act. And a karma is that which can be done, an action. Karmic is an adjective referring to the actions that we take. So, what is the actionable purpose of a soul? That is unending. That is as eternal as the soul itself. And that is to love, to serve, to give, to help, to bring out the potential in the world, in the people around us, in ourself, and most importantly, in the divine that pervades it all. Can you ever run out of things to do in that regard? That would mean the source is finite, that you only have one job to do and that's it. But we are infinite beings. We have infinite purpose. That is why we have infinite lives. As such, each life we chip away at another face of that infinite source which we've come to express it in a new light, in a new perspective. The 6th verse of the 8th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is... Well, I guess I can read it to you, so I don't have to paraphrase it. Whatever state of being one remembers in the end while giving up their body, O Kaunteya, that very state they will attain because of their persistent thought of it. In that verse of this ancient scripture, it tells us the precise cause of each life. That our body that we get in each life is there to fulfill the final thought of our last life. Or perhaps it would be more accurate to say, the culminating thought of our past life, what all of our thoughts were leading towards. But there is an exception to that. A human being is free to change what their purpose is at any moment, or the way in which they want to fulfill that. That, in fact, is what categorically differentiates humans from different incarnations of spirit. It's the same spirit, the same soul, the same potential. But a human being is able to change what their duties are. Mind you, that doesn't mean we necessarily should. There's a lot of people that walk away from their duties even when they shouldn't. But suffices to say they have that capacity, and oftentimes it's for the better. Like many people spend how many years in university pursuing one degree, then they realize, actually, although I found genuine purpose in that, I want to find purpose in another thing now. And so they shift the form in which they express that. That is uniquely human. Now I wanted to thank Lily Barft. First for having such a funny name, and second for the Rosa that you said. Ariom Tatsat. And thank you, dear Jen, for your paper crane too. Om Dum Dargai Namaha. Thank you, Maker Nemo, for your genuine question earlier and for your donut. Radhe Radhe. And And thank you, Shay, for your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 roses. And another one, 15. Thank you. Hari Om Tat Sat. I would like to begin to wrap this live stream up soon, but there are important questions that definitely deserve my attention. So, Jays Mindas, you asked, what about those who live with Alzheimer's or dementia? That's a very interesting question because it directly relates to this idea of our culminating thought. First of all, we should do everything we can to prevent Alzheimer's or dementia or other illnesses that affect our brain, that affect our mental capacity. And this is our responsibility. I believe that the most important thing we can do for our mental health in our old age is to exercise our mind in the same way that we exercise our body. It's no surprise that if we don't move our body, our bodily capabilities deteriorate. If we don't keep moving our mind, our faculties there deteriorate also. Now, that's not to say that people with dementia or Alzheimer's did anything wrong, but it can be a helpful preventative measure. It's the nature of our society, our culture, that we live very limited lives, mentally speaking, that there is not a lot of emphasis on having a mind that continues to learn and study with a sense of wonder our whole life. And that's the nature of the economic structure that we live in. It's the nature of the present age that, why bother? If we live a good life, if we keep to a routine, why do we need to exercise our mental faculties in ways that put ourselves out of our comfort zone, which is sufficient for me to live a comfortable life? Nonetheless, that doesn't mean these people should have to suffer just because of the society they live in, and therefore attain unfavorable afterlives because of this clause in the Bhagavad Gita. I imagine that the culminating thought of a person is still going to be representative of the life they have lived, not just in their final years. The moment of death, you find the most activity in the brain compared to the entirety of one's life. You could say that the highest awareness is possible in those last moments. So even if the brain or the mind has deteriorated in such a way that on an average day it cannot have the capacity to think in an open way that's conducive to the greatest growth, in that final moment, it is such a powerful experience that I think some grace is provided, some extra effort and energy that we might not have normally. So I would not worry that even these souls are going to attain some poor afterlife because they're not able to hold a thought in their mind. I hope some of those perspectives add to the nature of how Alzheimer's and dementia relates to this very specific idea of reincarnation and the culminating thought of our lives. You're welcome to share your question, dear Marlon. Thank you, Saturnus, for your heart meat, your 37 team bracelets, and your pair of cheerio-ups. Hari Om Tat Sat. And Shay, thank you for your 11 gimme the votes, as well as your 11 roses and your hand hearts that you sent before. Radhe Radhe. Thank you for wishing us all a wonderful present moment, Saturnus. Indigo, you're wondering where I bought my yam dana from. Well, to tell you the truth, I bought it from myself. I went to my own website in the link tree in my bio, the store section, and I bought it. Because it's part of my own merch. But I really wanted it, you know? Not just to show it off, but I think it's cute. I wear it everywhere. It doesn't say Yamsox or anything on it. So it's purely because I wanted cats with bandanas and some floral borders. And there's some yams on there, which makes it a yam dana. Marlon, you ask, do you think we will someday have a chance to live in harmony with religions? As a whole world, I believe that's something we should continue to work for. And if we feel like it's not possible, that can demotivate us from making the effort to unearth that possibility. So because that's a possibility, it deserves the faith that it's achievable. That said, reasonable expectations probably tell us that it'll be a persistent effort that will require more and more compassion and patience as the years go on. But individually speaking, I think that we all have the chance to live in harmony with religions. For example, what it means for any individual to live in harmony is just to respect and understand and value the universal truths that are just expressed in diverse ways throughout the different religions. So personally, it's absolutely something that's achievable in this lifetime. For the world, it's a really difficult thing that will require a lot of love and interfaith dialogue and really smart people to get these connections and bridges to be formed. But I think we can get closer to it every day. That's always a possibility. I hope that answers your question. Good evening, dear alien. And I'm happy you like the yam dana, Jez. Still don't know if how I pronounce your name is the right way or not. But Jay, you have a heavy question that your dog died, and do I think the spirit of her energy will come back to you? You miss her. Do I think the spirit of her energy will come back to you? How can something come back to a place that it already is, my friend? Oh, what does it mean to have a spirit? It means to have an essence of your being. The essence of her being. That is the love that she was for you. The love that she gave for you. And the love that you were able to give her because she gave you the opportunity to receive it. It is all the little footprints that are subtly embedded, not just in your yard, her favorite dog part, not only in your floor, but in your heart and mind. That impression that she made in your life. It is not merely the negative space which she used to fill in her physical presence. That is the very essence of her being, her spirit. And that cannot be separated from you because she is now a part of you. Because that impression that she's made in you shapes your very being also. She was your soul dog, you swear. She was your everything. I believe you. It is just like losing a family member. Oftentimes, because the love is just as real, the connection just as deep, just on another level. It's just different. And I imagine that there is so much love that you have to give her. And all that love you can still give her, just in other ways now. I think it's so important to have pictures of our loved ones in our house. You could even make a little puppy altar, which just represents her being. And every time you see that picture, every time you go to your puppy altar, just like an altar to the divine. Their physical presence might not be here, but it's still a gateway for you to get that love to where it needs to go and have it be received. Symbolism such as this is so helpful in the processing of grief. This is my opinion. Now, Gaia, you had asked, what is it like being loved and regarded? I hope you are asking it in a way that you're wondering about my unique experience of it, and not just the experience of it in general, because that experience everyone deserves, and we all have known what it's like in some capacity. Maybe not in the same way as others, but we cannot exist without love, without regard, which means that if you're still existing, then that means you must have some love in you. You must have some regard. Otherwise you wouldn't be here. For me, what does love and regard feel like? Love is something I have a hard time appreciating due to my own insecurities, because I feel like I don't deserve it. I feel like the love that I receive is so much more than the love I've ever given, and so I try my hardest to give as much love as I can, but then the more defeated I feel, because the more love I give, the more love I receive, and I can never seem to one-up all the love I receive. I am defeated by love. Love is winning. And I appreciate that. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, dear Shay, for the roses, the 1 plus 2 plus 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 3 plus 2 plus 2 amount of roses. Thank you for that. That's very kind of you. Hari Om Tat Sat. And thank you, dear Jen, for the love you too. Radhe Radhe. And the Bye Bug, thank you for your flowers. Jai Sita Ram. You gotta go to bed, Mason. Well, it is getting late. I did want to wrap up the Sangha soon. Before we go, let me ask you all a question. Today I was wondering from you, can you tell me a thought that you think nobody has ever thought before? Give me a unique thought, fresh off the press. Like everyone's so excited when there's a brand new state-of-the-art iPhone. How about a brand new state-of-the-art thought? It's a tall order, I must admit, but I think it's possible. And thank you, dear Taylor, for the rose you sent too. Hari Om Tat Sat. And thank you, dear Shay, for your dozen roses and an octet of tiny dinies. Yippee! That's funny, aquatic aquarium fish. Kiryu shared that you got followed by some profiles who are pretending to be me. Thank you for bringing your awareness to me. I am aware of this, but I will remind everyone that if you want to get a lot of followers, just hang out in this live stream. because you'll probably get a follow or 2 or 3 or 4 or maybe even 10 by people who pretend to be me. So if you want to reach that milestone to be able to live stream yourself, just be aware that they're not me, and I don't follow back on this platform. But that doesn't mean I don't care about you or that you're not important. Just know that everything I offer is for free, and that I'll never reach out for the price of some spiritual service. Alright, here are some new thoughts. Black holes are anti-gurus. Wow. Now that's a thought. The clouds are aliens here to help us. That's a fun thought, Valinda. Marcus, you share. Aliens are on the other side of the moon. Look at the Apollo transcripts. Oh, this isn't an original thought. You're just sharing. But thank you for sharing. All I know is that I'm a human being, and my fellow human beings deserve my love and attention. First and foremost, if there are aliens out there, they deserve love and attention too, but, you know, if they're hiding from me, how can I give them love and attention? Shay, you're wondering, why do cats like to clean themselves every 2 seconds? I think a part of it is to show you that they feel safe around you, that they're allowed to be vulnerable and focus on themselves without needing to be aware of their surroundings. I notice that they do that in the middle of playing, that if you're play fighting with them, they'll pause to lick themselves. I think it shows that, look, it's okay, nothing is serious. I feel comfortable being vulnerable around you. I like this thought, Athena. People are not black and white. They're gray. Nothing is the same for everyone, even if they live the same. I love that. Alright, Donsuela. Donsuela? Well, that's a new name for you. Donsuela, you ask. Does my spleen ever think about the rest of me and how we're doing? I don't know. I would think they have to in some sense. You know, the purpose of a liver is to connect to other organs. They all work in tandem, like with the spleen. Just as there's DNA in a spleen cell that encodes for every other cell, I think there is some awareness for how the cells work in tandem with all the other bodies. In order to be aware of that, they have to fit in with their environment, and they're doing that. There's no competition, except for cancer cells. Cancer cells tries to be independent, like its own living organism. That got very deep very quickly, but it's a unique thought, Donsuela. Thank you for providing one. Alien, you share. Imagination is the soul's workshop. I love that. Jez, you share. No one has truly thought of nothing. You are very right with that. And I love that, Marcus. Your perception of me is a reflection of yourself, and my reflection to you is an awareness of myself. That's beautiful. Did I skip yours, Gaia? Oh dear, I'm sorry. You shared, sharks are food too. That's funny. Donsuela, you can't be certain that you're the first to think of these things, but you're glad to share. And you're probably not the last, at the very least. Donsuela, you're wondering, what's my new thought? Does a purple blade of grass know how beautiful its uniqueness is? How about that? I have fair deal of confidence. That's a new thought. Maybe the sentiment isn't new, but words in that order are. Probably. Thank you, dear Romy, for wishing me a good day. All the same for you. Lola, you were wondering if I was fluent in every language, which language would be my favorite? Well, I would have to be fluent in every language in order to understand the unique ways in which each language provides to the global conversation. But that's a very unique thought, isn't it? Yeah. And thank you, dear Shay, for your 48 roses. Om Namah Shakti Shavaya. Nobody's probably thought that. I agree. Thank you, dear Hybrid Jen, for your subscription too. Have I told you that you're a good mother? In a while. I think you deserve to hear it. I know you do so much work for the lovely life you put into this world. Sadness, you share that sentence exists in the Library of Babel, but probably no one ever thought of it. That's true. These are all wonderful thoughts. All right. Thank you, everyone, for exploring this silly thought. I'd like to ask big questions and small questions, serious questions and funny questions. And I agree with that, Athena. That sounds very much in alignment with the 6th verse of the 8th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And thank you, dear alien, for your duck. Om Sum Saryaya Namaha. And your heart me, thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you, dear Rebecca, for your lovely rose as well. And Innovision, thank you for your heart me. Marcus, you ask, how to get past addiction when you only feel like yourself when satiating it? What a beautifully articulated question, and you've certainly come to the root of the difficulty that it is to transcend something like an addiction, because we feel like we are fulfilling our sense of self in that moment. Well, such a precise articulation leads itself to a very simple answer, and that's understanding that our true self is beyond this. How we do so is through studying revered scriptures that lead us on the path to recognizing our higher self, through listening to spiritual discourses, and having people that push you out of your comfort zone to experience new sides of yourself. All of these things can help you deepen your understanding of yourself. Because the truth is that if you are satiated from something finite, what does that say about you? It means that you must be finite. And I think that's a contradiction that implies our assumption must be false. Ultimately, we would like to believe, at least, that who we are is something that's not dependent on what we put in our body or what we get from another person or from the role that we have to play according to societal rules. That there's some essence of ourself that's free from all these things. There's a freedom surrounding our true nature, our Satchitananda Atma, our self, our Atma, which is Sat, true, Chit, conscious, and Ananda, blissful. That self must be beyond these things, and so we should go on the spiritual quest to go forth in reverence of this greater unfolding. That's a very abstract answer, I admit, but practically speaking, associate with the positive people in your life and the positive sources of information, and slowly they will guide you from the darkness of this experience to the light of your fullest potential. Now, thank you, dear Athena, for being here. I'm happy that you feel better. Life is a tough one, no doubt about that. But that doesn't mean we can't experience beauty and joy, even in the lowest moments. Relapses are very common. You can forgive yourself as long as you're willing to learn from your mistake and continue to pursue ways in which you're able to bring out possibilities that are less limited than the ones we subject ourselves to currently. Good night, vegan pixels. I'm happy you liked the Yamdana Miss Glitch. Hello. What was my question to the question of the day, asks Lola? Well, when Dansuela asked me, I said the thought of the question, does a purple blade of grass realize the beauty of its uniqueness? Something like that. I can't remember my exact words. Yeah, well said, G2 Infinity. You are allowed to feel whatever you are feeling on the path. Good night, dear Marlin. Alright, before we go, I'd like to read from another section of The Hidden Power in Humans. Let us continue discussing the nature of the Manipura Chakra, which is the solar plexus chakra. Allow me to bring it up. So, where we left off, the Manipura Chakra literally means the city of jewels, where we find pearls of clarity, wisdom, self-confidence, and well-being. Their luster radiates down to the lower chakras as well as up to the heart center, the Anahata Chakra. The feelings of love and happiness that we feel in our heart actually originate in the Manipura Chakra and rise from there to the Anahata Chakra. The positive radiance emanating from the Manipura Chakra also purifies the Svarishtana Chakra and the Muladhara Chakras and their qualities. Passion becomes pure selfless love through the light of wisdom, prejudice and aversion change to respect and understanding. Wait, I think I put the emphasis on the wrong words in that sentence. Let me say that again. Through the light of wisdom, prejudice and aversion change to respect and understanding, and envy and insatiable greed change to goodwill and healthy moderation. That's better. With the gaining of self-confidence, pride and jealousy. Oh, I did it again. With the gaining of self-confidence, pride and jealousy change to modesty and generosity. Ignorance changes into clarity, and laziness into focused, consistent effort. Mind you, this is the first time I'm reading this with all of you. As already said, for the Muladhara and Svarishtana chakras, the simultaneous activation of the Agna Chakra, the third eye, is of great help on the spiritual path. This is also the case here. The beneficial qualities of the Manipura Chakra can only reach perfection in conjunction with the Agnya Chakra, because when we depend only on the inspiration of one of them, we can easily become confused. Decisions that are based only upon the Manipura Chakra, the so-called gut feeling, are often intuitively correct, but can be distorted by strong emotions and therefore literally be irrational, without rationality. And judgments based only on the intellect lack complete and integrated vision. Therefore, both chakras are important for clarity and purpose. with the quote-unquote right feeling of the Manipura Chakra being guided and examined by the Viveka, the discrimination, a quality of the Ajna Chakra, the third eye, self-awareness, and self-confidence, or other pearls of the Manipura Chakra too. Until we discover these pearls within us and raise them into the light, we live in constant fear. I seem to be having trouble putting the emphasis on the right parts of the sentence. Nonetheless, it's written in a very beautiful way. Until we discover these pearls within us and raise them into the light, we live in constant fear. Fear that we will not be loved, that we will be a failure, fear of becoming ill, of dying, etc. Many of our fears are produced by blockages in the Manipura Chakra. The Manipura Chakra is closely connected to the psyche. Psychic problems frequently give rise to digestive problems. For example, many people react to fear or stressful situations with abdominal pain or diarrhea. Many people with irritable bowel syndrome probably can relate. The tattva, the element of the Manipura Chakra, is tejas, fire. And therefore this chakra is also known as the fire or sun center. The fire element manifests within the body as body heat. The Manipura Chakra controls our energy balance and supplies the digestive organs with energy. When it fans and regulates the quote-unquote digestive fire, it also makes... Let me read that one more time again. When it fans and regulates the digestive fire, it also makes an important contribution to the stable and healthy constitution. The Manipura Chakra is also described as the cosmic door because it provides an entry for numerous astral powers. It is the center of Hara, which is a name for Lord Shiva, a synonym for power and energy, a power center or lion center that bestows upon us balance, stability, strength, and activity. It works as an energy transformer that converts and supplies the body with the cosmic energy, the prana, that is absorbed with our food. On the physical level, the function of this chakra is similar to that of a fireplace. When we put wood into the grate, the flames are fed, but when the wood is almost gone, the fire will gradually die. The quote-unquote firewood for our digestive fire, our Jataragni, is the food that we eat. Foods that have a strong positive vibration are grains, nuts, fruit, and vegetables. So, just as bad wood does not burn well, food of a lesser quality also generates less power and poorer health. And heated reactions such as rage, anger, and aggression also draw energy from the Manipura Chakra and as a result weaken it. A good fireplace will provide heat for a long time without constantly having to put on more wood, but a badly functioning fireplace does not heat as well and will cool down as soon as the fuel begins to run low. When the energy of our food is not properly absorbed, utilized, and distributed in the Manipura Chakra, we feel tired, weak, and ill. But with an active Manipura Chakra, the body is provided with sufficient energy, even if we have only eaten or slept a little. This is why the Manipura Chakra is the most important energy center for our physical well-being. Alright, that's a good place to stop. So, thank you there for now. I hope you enjoyed that listening, and I am sorry for my ability to express my words in a way that causes me to repeat myself, but assuming you were able to understand me, well, I guess there's no problem there, as it matters not the way in which we convey the words, but the meaning that is conveyed. Om Namah Shivaya. We'll continue our discussion in the Manipura Chakra at another time. You are funny, Dimad. That's Manipura Manipuri, which refers to money, a jewel or a pearl, which is the same word in the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum, which means the jewel at the center of the lotus, jewel, and Pura, which means a town or a city. And so Manipura means the city of jewels, which incidentally could be described as a place in which there's lots of wealth, because jewels or pearls are very valuable. And thank you, dear Salty, for sending a heart me, a shiny air balloon, and a subscription to Sergeant Slaughterhouse, Douglas Bingaman, Artistic Alexis, Stephanie C, Xina, Thanks All, Lavi, Miwi Kui, Julia, and BP. That's very kind of you. Not only is it generous to even show your appreciation in such a way that you indirectly express there being value here, you extend that generosity to someone that will benefit from that before yourself. And not only is that humble, it's humbling too. And with that, I'm only honored to have a Sangha in which you and everyone which you've gifted a subscription to is present. That's very kind of you. I'm only grateful for my lovely audience. You think you all need me? Well, when it comes to everything that you are, all of that is a part of you already. The most I could ever do is point you to the beauty that is a part of your very being. Since I can't take credit for the beauty, maybe I could take credit for the pointing. But even then, I am only honored to have the opportunity to discover the beauty within yourself at the same time as you. And for that, I thank you also for the opportunity to be able to be a witness to the unfolding inside you. Now I'm very grateful that you like my videos that I've been posting G to Infinity. I think it helps solidify some of the things that are mentioned in this live stream. Now with that, we will be wrapping up today's live stream shortly. And I'm very grateful that you appreciate the wisdom of Paramahans Swami Maheshwarananda Danswaila. Usha is so lovely to have sent the book to me and through me to all of you too. Good night, Jez. Thank you. And good night, Michelle. We are all students together. Much gratitude, Alien. Alright. Kelly, you're wondering, am I a part of any kind of group or practice? Well, I just kind of wake up in the morning and do my own thing. I feel a part of not any particular community or way of life. I feel a part of life. I feel part of humanity. Humanity is my uniting religion. Breath, my uniting prayer, and consciousness, my uniting divinity. This is something we are all a part of, and I'm only grateful to be included in on it. I have listened to a couple of Bashar's channelings, Marcus. They are very intriguing, and I believe that the words that are shared through Daryl, I think his name is, are beautiful, and they stand on their own. That you don't have to believe in the method to benefit from the truth of the words in which they are spoken. For truth to be realized, it does not require an authority, because the authoritative nature of truth is in the truth itself, because you're able to directly realize its ability to make a difference in your life. Alright, with that, I'll remind you all that I upload the live stream, the recording of which, to my YouTube channel, Yamsox Lives, under that name, and also the readings in their own designated playlists. That's linked in the link tree in my bio for you. Also, Yamsox ASMR, you will be seeing a new upload tonight, the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita on that ASMR, spiritual ASMR channel. In case you want to listen to that ancient scripture with a whispered voice and rain sounds in the background. But most importantly, let this live stream be an offering to you, to the divinity within you, and to all that is possible together. Being on earth is very hard, Alina. I agree with that. But we make it harder than it needs to be for ourselves with all of our self-doubt and the lack of love and respect that we give our own self. Just as other beings deserve our love and respect, so does this body, so does this mind. Taking care of that, having a balance in that regard, can make it so much easier. And the challenges we face are not meant to destroy us. They are meant to create us. G to Infinity, you're wondering if we can do a short mantra as we end. Well, I cannot refuse you, since you are so lovely. And I love the way that Sleepy responds to that idea, that you like to think of Earth as your heaven. You made it here for a reason. That's beautiful. And it is said in scripture that Earth is the rarest of all planets to be on. The most precious place to be. And as far as we know scientifically, that is very much true also. And all that is possible when it comes to heaven and hell, we can make that possible. Hopefully the heaven part, more than any other possibility. Alright, yeah, we can do a mantra before we go. Since we are going through the chakras, why don't we do the mantra for the first 3 chakras together? I think that would be nice. The mantra for the root, I'll just start recording before I say this. The mantra for the root chakra is Lam. The mantra for the sacral chakra is Vam. And the mantra for the solar plexus chakra is Ram. So it's very easy. They all start with an approximate semi-vowel, and then they move into just an easy, smooth singing vowel, unimpeded, and they end in a nasalization. We close our lips and then we bring our tongue back to the back of our throat. And it trails off like that. Lam, Vam, Ram. And we'll just go in cycles of 3 like that. For the Muladhara, the Svadhisthana, and the Manipura Chakra. Lam. Vam. Ram. Back again. Lam. Vam. Ram. I think I swapped the order of the last two. But that's okay. That's a good place to stop. Lam, Vam, Ram. The mantras for the lower three chakras. I hope you found that relaxing and relieving. Namaste. Alright, thank you G to Infinity for inspiring that. Thank you for asking. Pablo, you're wondering, do you think we all disincarnate? That's a very interesting word. At the same time. We all have different times in which we leave our bodies, and different ways in which we leave our bodies. But at the end of each cycle of creation, called a kalpa, it is said that during pralaya, dissolution, we all return back to the source at once. And we will be back in another cycle of creation, another universe and another time. And in case you're worried if that's going to happen anytime soon, it's not for something on the order of trillions of years. So, up there with the physicists' estimation for the duration of the universe. Though, according to Hindu cosmology, we are in a dark age, it's by no means the end of the world. It's an end of many ways of being that we might have been used to in previous millennia. But happiness, peace, beauty, it will all still be possible for the next 4,500,000 years to the start of the next Yuga cycle, And a kalpa contains many, many different yuga cycles, which comprise days and nights of brahmas, which comprise years of brahma. And at the end of all of those many cycles and epicycles, then there is the dissolution of the cosmos. So we've got plenty time to go, don't worry. And then it just starts up again. So according to this theory, to this model, I should say, don't worry. No matter what, don't worry. There's no room for worry. In any case, party on. All right. With that, I bid you adieu for real this time. May you all have a beautiful rest of your night, or your afternoon, or your evening, or your morning, or your twilight, or whatever time of day is meant for you to embark on, given your geography. Most generally, Hakuna Matata. Don't worry, be happy. May you all have a wonderful rest of your present moment. Namaskaram.